NoFap is the latest costume the ego wears to enter the temple, and it enters quietly, piously, with a rosary of decanters in one hand and a loud speaker of virtue in the other, saying, "Look at me, I am pure, I am powerful, I am in control." And in that very declaration, the paean begins. Because the ego can make a prison out of anything: sex, money, morality, meditation, and then decorate the bars with gold and call it freedom. I am not against experiments in abstinence. I am against hypnosis. I am against turning a device into a dogma, a medicine into a religion, a training wheel into a throne. Because the moment you say, "I am NoFap," you have already missed the point. You are not what you do or don't do with your body. You are the watcher. And the watcher needs no labels, no calendars, no crowds applauding your streaks. The ego loves streaks because numbers can be compared, trophies can be sold, superiority can be tasted. But awareness has no arithmetic. Love has no scoreboard. And truth refuses to be tallied. If you deny the body out of hatred, you will meet it again as obsession. If you silence desire with fear, you will hear it again louder as fantasy. If you whip the ocean, it will rise as a tidal wave. Because repression is only a way of storing energy in the basement and calling yourself clean in the living room. And that basement grows mold, and one day you will smell it in your prayers. Understand me well. Energy is innocent. Sex is innocent. Your longing is not your enemy. It is your life, reaching for more life. Your sapling, reaching for the sun. And the question is not release or retention. The question is awareness. Because in awareness, both release and retention can become toys in the hands of a childlike intelligence. Try to see how cunning the ego is. It failed at building itself on wealth. You saw through that. It failed at politics. You smell the rot. And in the now there is nothing to maintain and nothing to brag. The duty of awareness is that it does not condemn failure because it does not worship success. It simply learns, it simply deepens, it simply becomes more intimate with what is. I have seen so-called celibates who were volcanoes of suppressed rage and sadness and hypocrisy. And I have seen lovers whose love-making was a quiet meditation in which both disappeared into one sky. What matters is not the vow, but the quality of consciousness. You can be a monk and be full of lust. You can be a householder and be full of light. Surely abstinence has its grace when it arises like fragrance from a flower already blooming. But if you pluck the petals to force the perfume, you will hold only a dead stem. When you find yourself bragging about your control, smile and bow, because the bragging is the last gasp of a frightened giant. When you find yourself judging another for falling, bow again, because the judge is the mask the ego uses to hide its own fear of falling. To the ones who write to me saying, but my mind is clearer after abstinence, I say, good. Use the clarity to become kinder, not prouder. To the ones who say, but my will is stronger, I say, good. Use the strength to let go, not to dominate. To the ones who say, but I feel more masculine, more feminine, more alive, I say, good. Now dissolve in that aliveness and let it sing through your hands and eyes and words, not only in your stories. The final trick of the ego is to invent a finish line, a perfect you who never trembles. Throw away the finish line. There is only ripening. Even if you choose a season of celibacy, make it a season of love. Love for your foolishness. Love for your urges as they pass like clouds. Love for your body as it learns to hum rather than howl. Love for the ancient animal in you who only needs to be stroked with awareness. And if you choose a season of conscious release, make that too a season of love. No rushing, no hiding, no pornography of the mind, but breath and presence and gratitude. Then even your pleasure will teach you how to die into the moment. Beware of slogans, beware of flags, beware of names that make you feel big. Truth is small and quiet. It wears ordinary clothes. It puts a hand on your shoulder when you forget and says, breathe, beloved. Here we are. This is it. So let the movement of your energy be like weather, sometimes bright, sometimes.
From my point of view, the NoFap as ego trip critique matters because identity, any identity, can hijack a helpful behavior and convert it into self-importance, shame, and polarization. I have seen three overlapping groups in this space: people who are genuinely stuck in compulsive sexual patterns and need relief, people who are experimenting with discipline and biology out of curiosity, and people who are seeking status within a purity hierarchy. The first group often benefits from periods of abstinence paired with nervous system work, sleep, sunlight, movement, social connection, and trauma-informed support, because compulsion is less a moral failure and more a loop of stress, isolation, and high-friction dopamine. The second group can learn a lot about agency and attention by toggling between intentional abstinence and intentional conscious release. Run it like a lab, not a religion. Tracking not just days streaked, but real signals: quality of mood, clarity of mind, tenderness in relationships, ability to sit with urges without collapsing. The third group, the status seekers, tends to revolve around streak count bravado, relapse theatrics, and moralizing. And this is where the ego trip is loudest. The identity becomes the point, and curiosity dies. My stance isn't pro or anti NoFap. It's pro-awareness and pro-skillful means. If porn is hijacking your attention and numbing intimacy, taking a break can reset your system. But if abstinence breeds contempt for your body or contempt for others, you are moving away from freedom, not toward it. Practically, you can shift metrics. Instead of counting days, count minutes of mindful breathing when arousal arises, instances of choosing a creative outlet, episodes of meeting a surge with compassion rather than panic, moments of honest conversation with a partner or friend. Diversify regulation. Cold showers and push ups are fine, but also learn to downshift with slow exhales, grounding through the feet, body scanning, co regulation in safe relationships. If the urge feels unworkable, widen the time between impulse and action by 90 seconds and stay in the body. Often the wave passes or transforms. If you choose release, remove secrecy and speed. Keep attention on breath and sensation rather than fantasy, and close with gratitude. It changes the nervous system imprint from escape to completion. If you choose abstinence, beware of superiority and beware of brittle perfectionism. When you break, treat it as data. What time, what trigger, what emotion, what unmet need. Adjust the day, not your dignity. This conversation is for all genders and orientations. Shame's mechanisms are universal, and consent and kindness apply equally to self and other. If you have trauma, intrusive thoughts, or behavior that's hurting your life, please bring in a therapist.